This is such a bizarre article that I don't even feel comfortable calling it an article because it reads more like fan fiction. And it's really incredibly convoluted, and yet 5,000 people commented on it. So crazy stuff like this is just going to keep happening. Articles like this being churned out every day, multiple times a day, because the tabloids are finally getting that attention that they've been trying to get back since 2020. In this article, the headline says that Harry and Meghan will look to become private royals plus while back in the UK. We'll ignore the rest of it because it's stupid. I mean, all of this is, but private royals plus, doesn't that sound like a subscription service? Like, what does that mean exactly? Because we've never heard this phrase ever in any of the tabloid articles. So you actually have to read it to understand what they're talking about. And basically what they want to happen is that Harry and Meghan move back to the UK. They cut off all of their income streams. As Ever shuts down. Archwell Philanthropy shut down, which I know that's not an income stream, but you know what I mean. Everything that they have worked for in the past 6 years, anything that they've invested in, like literally everything, they want them to just cut all of it off and go back into the gilded cage, that William be responsible for them financially and Charles responsible for them as like head of the monarchy. That is literally what the private royals plus thing is. But also when you read the article, it does sound like it's exactly what half in, half out would have looked like. Harry and Meghan are in the UK. They remain private citizens, but then they go and make appearances on behalf of the monarchy. It is so weird. The fan fiction goes on to say that they're not going to be able to do what they did in Montecito, i.e. running as ever, going to dinners with celebrities, parties, celebrities throw walking red carpets, going to movie premieres. That's kind of the gist of what I think that's insinuating. But actually, yeah, they are going to be able to do all of that stuff. Their physical location does not matter. They're still going to be doing what they were doing in the US, I hope. But the way this fan fiction reads, it's like it's a done deal. They're coming back to the UK with their tail between their legs, and they're going to be forced to work for the monarchy and be under the palace's thumb. And they're not going to get to do or say anything that they've been able to do or say in the past 6 years. And because they haven't got this private royals plus subscription thing figured out, they had to fill the rest of the article about what it could possibly look like for the royals in the UK. And this is even more amusing, because the craziest thing I've seen it say is that a best case scenario would be for them to remain a private couple, but making public appearances alongside serving royals once they return to the fold. The return to the fold line has been said multiple times in this article, and that's not what is happening as far as we're aware. And serving royals, that's not even what the royals themselves do. They're not serving the royals. They're supposed to serve the public on behalf of the monarchy, or serve the monarchy itself. But that really gets down to the crux of what these tabloid writers want. They cannot stand that Meghan hasn't come out and said, "Oh, I'm so grateful to be royal. I'm so, so grateful Harry picked me. I'm so, so grateful for the abuse I suffered while in the monarchy and how it's run. I'm just so, 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 so grateful. Please let me curtsy to all of you. Let me drop to my knees and thank you for giving me everything I could possibly want," because it's not her hard work, it's the monarchy's. It's so weird, but again, that's exactly what they have been wanted. And because Meghan has not been that deferential black woman dropping to her knees, thanking her lucky stars, that's exactly how we're here today with articles like this. Ugh.
No, it's funny though, absolutely nothing from Harry and Meghan as yet, not that I've heard. Does that mean they've stopped talking about them? No. So Meghan made the front cover of a UK newspaper, I think for the 5th consecutive day. This was yesterday's Daily Express, and they had to say, the real story behind Meghan's Netflix return. At this stage, I'm thinking it was a PR stunt, but using Meghan's name, not okay. But I almost can't blame Netflix because the UK media, this is what you do. And then yesterday in the Times, they had Britons want Prince Harry to make up and cough up. Because for many, the UK peoples tell people what to do and they just do it and go with it and believe it. And even here with Dolly Parton, who sadly has passed away, she's dominating most UK front pages. However, they've still got space for Harry and Meghan. Harry's 15-year plan and what his new life with Meghan really looks like. Alison Bossoff exclusive. Exclusive, is it? Not really. It's what you want to make up. What the Sussex's new life in Britain will really look like, it's Harry's dream. Meghan will come and go, but it's all part of the 15-year plan. All is revealed. Okay, Alison. And GB No News, what even is this story? Harry and Meghan issue furious denial over secret lunch with Jerry and Christian Horner ahead of UK return. And BBC News, have you no shame? Charity, acting, the Cotswolds, what will Harry and Meghan's UK life look like? You're all so desperate to get part of their life. They're not doing a reality TV show, I'm sorry. And Express, this one really made me laugh. Princess Kate, because they want to keep making them against each other. Princess Kate has just played a blinder. She's under Meghan and Harry's skin. What did she do? Princess Catherine sent Meghan and Harry a clear as crystal message after the news broke that Sussexes were returning to the UK. What did she do? They said inside today's papers are beaming photos of Catherine, the Princess of Wales, in the passenger seat of a car driven by her husband near the King's Balmoral estate yesterday, heading to church. Keep calm and carry on, as the late Queen might have said. The move is a blinder paid by the Walesers, with Princess Catherine taking in the lead role. It's clearly a move designed to remind the public and Harry and Meghan who the proper roles are. Okay, what a blinder. And I'll leave you with this today. Shout out to Zandy Sussex on X. This is what the UK media are all about. Haters, stay mad.
And just as you say that, look at this. Look at this. It's already started. I think it's the lady probably in the middle, the spokesperson, or, you know, when they have like a correspondent, royal correspondent. I think it's probably her opinion. Don't you think it's really bizarre that these so-called royal correspondents know stuff without knowing anything? It started already. This fourth estate, they're dying for it. You're dying for it, as Pooja would say. And it's already begun. Oh my gosh. Earlier, I posted about what the potential reasons could be for them returning and about us not necessarily caring, because how does it really impact our lives, aside from the economy and what the royal family does for the country and taxes that we have to pay and all that kind of thing. But I don't have a kind of personal view, but so many people do already, and there are so many claims being made within just 4 days. It's just so utterly bizarre. It's so remarkable. It is so revealing. You're so transparent. And here we see it already pitting the women against each other. Well, actually, you're not pitting Catherine against anyone. It's Meghan, who you are determined to sort of demonize once again. This woman who you might not gel with it. You know what was really funny is that I keep hearing, she said that her friends warned her about the British tabloid press. Let's just not say tabloid. Let's say press. Number one. Number two, there's this bizarre notion that the press were just fine until she turned on them. The press weren't fine. You're waiting for her to put a foot wrong, for her to not behave, right? You know what I mean by behave, when somebody walks sort of out of step and does something that's antithetical to what you're allowed to do. You're not allowed to do that. There's an unspoken and a spoken rule, and you are deviating from that. So now we'll show you. Unfortunately, imagine like you're married to a man. Of course you've had access and you've got children now as well. What do you do? Like I said in my earlier video, I don't care for these elites and royal family. I'm not into any of them. I don't worship anyone. I'm not a fan of any celebrity. I just don't care like that. But it's just, if you have any kind of interest in society, current affairs, these kinds of dynamics, optics, all of it, then you will just see this is a perfect example of somebody who got into something, benefited from it, and just realised also, gosh, it comes with a hell of a lot of baggage, a hell of a lot. You could even be as perfect as Princess Di, be from here, and still, once you were seen to be out, once there was a critical mass of voices that critique you or hound you or monitor you in a critical way, that's it. It's over for you, your rep, or any kind of favour you might garner with the Fourth Estate.
Squaddies, I need to talk about this Daily Mail headline because what on earth is going on? Harry and Meghan have barely settled back in Britain, and apparently the Daily Mail already has their future mapped out. According to the report, we're supposed to believe they're going to become some kind of Royals Plus, and they might only stay for a year before packing up and heading to Canada or Australia. Excuse me? Who gave the Daily Mail the keys to Harry and Meghan's diary? Because this is getting ridiculous. Imagine you move into a new neighbourhood, and before you've even unpacked the kitchen, the newspaper next door publishes an article saying, sources say the new neighbours will probably leave in 12 months and may relocate to Australia. May, let them unpack first. Harry and Meghan are adults. They have children, they have their own home, their own income, their own plans, and their own lives. If they decide to stay in Britain for 6 months, that's their decision. If they stay for 5 years, that's their decision. If one morning they wake up and say, you know what, let's go to Australia, guess what? Also their decision. The British press doesn't get to decide the timetable. And this is what I find fascinating. For years we've heard that Harry and Meghan are irrelevant. They've supposedly lost their influence. Nobody cares. They're yesterday's news. Okay then, why are you writing a whole forecast about their future? Why are journalists speculating about where they'll live? Why are they predicting how long they'll stay? Why are they trying to define what their role in Britain will be? If these two are supposedly so unimportant, surely the easiest solution is don't write about them. Problem solved. But that's not what's happening, is it? Instead, Harry and Meghan are barely through the door and we're already getting chapters about what happens next. And this is where ordinary people can see how strange it is. Imagine somebody telling you, you've just moved here, but we've already decided how long you're staying. You'd look at them like they're completely mad. That's basically what this coverage feels like. And honestly, Harry and Meghan don't need a newspaper to tell them what their future looks like. They'll decide that themselves. They're raising their children, they're building their lives, they're figuring out what works for their family. And if that means Britain becomes part of their lives again, wonderful. If it doesn't work long term and they eventually choose somewhere else, that's their business too. The Sussexes don't need permission to live their lives. So here's my question to the Daily Mail and everybody else predicting the next Sussex chapter. If Harry and Meghan are really as irrelevant as some of you keep telling us, why are you working overtime to predict everything they're going to do next? Because from where I'm sitting, the people who supposedly want Harry and Meghan to disappear from the headlines can't seem to stop putting them in the headlines. Now this is where I have to laugh, because the contradiction is sitting right there in plain sight. You will hear certain royal commentators claim that Meghan needs attention, that she needs publicity, that she somehow depends on being talked about to stay relevant. Okay, then why on earth are you talking about her every 5 minutes? Seriously. Monday, Meghan needs attention. Tuesday, another Meghan headline. Wednesday, another podcast discussing Meghan. Thursday, another article dissecting what Meghan posted, wore, said, cooked, or didn't say. Friday, another prediction about what Meghan is supposedly going to do next. Hello? Who is creating all this attention? It's not Meghan sitting in a newsroom writing the headlines. And this is the part that makes regular people scratch their heads. Imagine somebody saying, that neighbour is desperate for attention, and then they spend the entire week standing outside that neighbour's house shouting their name. Mate, go home. If you genuinely believe Meghan is irrelevant, there is a very easy solution. Stop talking about her. Don't turn every Instagram post into breaking news. Don't turn every appearance into a royal investigation. Don't attach Meghan's name to every little stunt just because you know her name will attract eyeballs. Don't spend hours on podcasts discussing whether she wants attention. Because here's the funny part. Every article, every podcast, every headline is attention. And attention is exactly what they're claiming she supposedly needs. You can't keep pouring petrol on the fire and then blame the fire for being big. That's not how this works. And I'm not saying Meghan controls every story written about her. She doesn't. The media makes its own editorial decisions. So if a newspaper chooses to publish story after story about Meghan, that's their choice. If a commentator chooses to spend another 20 minutes talking about Meghan, that's their choice. If a podcast decides her name will bring listeners, that's their choice. But then don't turn around and tell us Meghan is desperately chasing attention. You're giving her the attention. And let's be brutally honest about the click game. Her name gets clicks, Harry's name gets clicks, the Sussex family gets clicks. So perhaps the real addiction here isn't Meghan's supposed need for attention. Perhaps it's the media's need for Sussex clicks. Because if you truly wanted Harry and Meghan to disappear from the headlines, can't seem to stop putting them in the headlines. They say Meghan needs attention while giving her attention every single day. Now this is where I have to laugh, because the contradiction is sitting right there in plain sight. You will hear certain royal commentators claim that Meghan needs attention, that she needs publicity, that she somehow depends on being talked about to stay relevant. Okay, then why on earth are you talking about her every 5 minutes? Seriously. Monday, Meghan needs attention. Tuesday, another Meghan headline. Wednesday, another podcast discussing Meghan. Thursday, another article dissecting what Meghan posted, wore, said, cooked, or didn't say. Friday, another prediction about what Meghan is supposedly going to do next. Hello? Who is creating all this attention? It's not Meghan sitting in a newsroom writing the headlines. And this is the part that makes regular people scratch their heads. Imagine somebody saying, that neighbour is desperate for attention, and then they spend the entire week standing outside that neighbour's house shouting their name. Mate, go home. If you genuinely believe Meghan is irrelevant, there is a very easy solution. Stop talking about her. Don't turn every Instagram post into breaking news. Don't turn every appearance into a royal investigation. Don't attach Meghan's name to every little stunt just because you know her name will attract eyeballs. Don't spend hours on podcasts discussing whether she wants attention. Because here's the funny part. Every article, every podcast, every headline is attention. And attention is exactly what they're claiming she supposedly needs. You can't keep pouring petrol on the fire and then blame the fire for being big. That's not how this works. And I'm not saying Meghan controls every story written about her. She doesn't. The media makes its own editorial decisions. So if a newspaper chooses to publish story after story about Meghan, that's their choice. If a commentator chooses to spend another 20 minutes talking about Meghan, that's their choice. If a podcast decides her name will bring listeners, that's their choice. But then don't turn around and tell us Meghan is desperately chasing attention. You're giving her the attention. And let's be brutally honest about the click game. Her name gets clicks, Harry's name gets clicks, the Sussex family gets clicks. So perhaps the real addiction here isn't Meghan's supposed need for attention. Perhaps it's the media's need for Sussex clicks. Squaddies, let's zoom out for a second, because there's something hilarious happening here. We're constantly being told that Harry and Meghan are finished, they're irrelevant, nobody cares. Their popularity is supposedly collapsing. The Sussex brand is apparently on life support. Okay then, why can't anybody stop talking about them? Look at what's happening now that they're back in Britain. We're getting stories about where they're staying, stories about the children, stories about school, stories about security, stories about private travel, stories about Meghan's business, stories about Harry's plans, stories about their relationship with the royal family. And now we're even getting predictions about how long they're supposedly going to stay. At this point, the Daily Mail needs a Sussex desk with a coffee machine and somebody working the night shift. And that's the thing. If Harry and Meghan were genuinely irrelevant, you wouldn't need this much coverage. You'd ignore them. Simple. When someone has no audience, no interest, and no clicks, the media doesn't normally spend all day producing content about them. It moves on. But the Sussexes? Every move can become a headline. Every photograph can become a story. Every Instagram post can become an article. Every appearance can trigger another round of commentary. So let's stop pretending there isn't an obvious reason publishers keep doing it. Attention has value. A headline gets somebody to click. A click brings somebody onto the website. That audience can then be monetized through advertising, subscriptions, or other commercial activity. I'm not saying every journalist sits there rubbing their hands together thinking, how can I make Harry and Meghan angry today? But let's not pretend the digital media business doesn't care about audience attention. Of course it does. And the Sussex name clearly attracts attention. That's where the question becomes really interesting. Instead of asking, why does Meghan supposedly need attention? Ask, why does the media keep supplying it? Because you can't complain about somebody being constantly in the headlines while constantly putting them in the headlines. That's like complaining that your neighbour keeps showing up at your house when you're the one sending them an invitation every morning. And here's what really gets me. If Harry and Meghan were genuinely a disaster, wouldn't the easiest thing in the world be to ignore them? Don't publish the story. Don't write the follow-up. Don't make the podcast episode. Don't turn their every move into another article. Done. But that's not happening. They're being discussed constantly. And that tells us something. Whatever people think of Harry and Meghan personally, the public interest in them clearly hasn't disappeared. The media itself keeps proving that. So when somebody tells you the Sussexes are irrelevant squaddies, just ask them one simple question. Then why are you still clicking, writing, and talking about them every single day? Because the headlines tell their own story. Harry and Meghan aren't being ignored. They're being monetized. And this is where I want to leave you with the question that honestly keeps coming back. When are they just going to let Harry and Meghan live? Because look at what has actually happened. Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lilibet are back in Britain. They're not arriving with a royal marching band, they're not demanding their old offices, they're not asking for a palace balcony appearance, they're not announcing, surprise, we're working royals again. They're simply trying to spend time in Britain as a family and build a private life on their own terms. And yet, the speculation is already going crazy. How long are they staying? Where exactly are they living? What will Meghan do? What will Harry do? Will they work with the royal family? Will they leave Britain? Will they go back to Canada? Australia? At this rate, somebody's going to publish a headline saying, sources say Sussex is considering a move to Mars. And we'll have a royal correspondent on a podcast tomorrow explaining why Meghan chose Mars because she needs attention. But seriously, that's what makes this whole thing so strange. They haven't even had a chance to settle down, and people are already trying to write the ending. And remember what we've just talked about. We're told Meghan supposedly needs attention, yet her name keeps appearing in headlines. We're told Harry and Meghan are irrelevant, yet they're getting article after article. We're told they're trying to disappear from public life, yet commentators can't seem to stop discussing what they're doing. Something isn't adding up. And here's the important part. Harry and Meghan don't control every headline. They don't control what a newspaper publishes. They don't control which royal correspondent decides to spend 20 minutes talking about them. They don't control whether an Instagram post gets turned into a story. The media does. That's a choice. And if you're genuinely tired of Harry and Meghan, there's a very simple solution. Stop talking about them. Seriously. Nobody is forcing anyone to write another article. Nobody is forcing anybody to record another podcast. Nobody is forcing anybody to analyse Meghan's every move like it's a national security briefing. Just leave them alone. And here's where I think ordinary people can relate. Imagine you've moved somewhere new with your family. You've got your children, you've got work, you've got a million things to sort out. And before you've even found the nearest supermarket, somebody is outside your house asking, how long are you staying? Where are you going next? What are your 5-year plans? Are you moving to Australia? Mate, let them unpack the boxes first. That's the human side of this. Harry and Meghan are people. They're parents. They're trying to raise their children. They deserve the ability to make decisions about their family without having every possibility turned into a headline. So I'll leave you with this, squaddies. If Harry and Meghan are genuinely irrelevant, why can't the British press stop talking about them? If Meghan supposedly craves attention, why are they the ones giving her so much of it? And if everybody is supposedly desperate for the Sussexes to move on, maybe it's time for the people writing about them every single day to move on first, because Harry and Meghan have a life to live. And honestly, let them live it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I am your host, Miles. God bless you all for supporting this channel and standing for Harry and Meghan. Goodbye.